Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Kabbalah Café. We have a lot to talk about today. So I wrote in the email, I just want to kind of position the class. I wrote in the email that the focus that it will be on Shabbat and Shabbat food. And while we will get to that, I actually want to begin the class with talking about the afterlife and about the experience of the soul after its sojourn, after its time on earth. And, you know, I was kind of debating, if you recall, if you joined us last week for the class, so you remember that we talked about both concepts at the end. We talked about this idea of Shabbat Food, purgatory of the grave, and we talked about achilat Shabbat, the eating of Shabbat food, and how that differs from the rest of the week. And I said we'll pick up both of these topics this week. Last night, as I was writing the email after Shabbat and kind of looking at the weather and trying to figure out exactly, what's the best option, which I think everything. Thank God is working out okay. The theme that I wanted to write in the email was about Shabbat food, but I do also want to cover the idea of Shabbat Food, purgatory of the grave, and explain what's going on. So first, I feel like it's important to understand the Jewish perspective on life and death and the afterlife, which is inextricably connected with the concept of what a soul is and what a soul is not. In other words, it's very important. If you want to understand the journey of the soul in the afterlife, first have to understand what a soul is and what it isn't. So the first thing we need to know is like this. The soul is a distinct created being, meaning that the soul is not some sort of energy, field or whatever, some sort of amorphous energy that doesn't have an identity. Every soul has an identity. Now, if you ask the question, well, one second, if every soul is a piece of God, so how can a piece of God have its own identity? So the answer is because God makes it like that. And so every soul at its core, hey, good morning. Every soul at its core has a piece of God inside, or has. What I mean by that is there's the yechidah benefesh, the core of the soul that is common to every soul, but every soul has its own personality as well. Meaning to say the following: what is the relationship between body and soul, or soul and body? Is it like a battery to a device, or is it a little bit different? Okay, I'm going to use an example of not a battery but electricity. So I'm looking here at the wall, right to my left. And I see they have different outlets. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different opportunities to plug something in. Does the electricity care if you plug in a charger, whatever that is, or a toaster, or a cell phone? Hey,
hello.
Good to see you, Jeff.
It's been a while. I'm sorry I can't bring you on.
It's been a while. Does the electricity care? The answer is, of course, it doesn't care. Now, obviously, you can't plug in your Tesla into this wall. You need a different type of energy source. You need a greater power. But assuming that your device or whatever can take the electricity that's coming from the wall, it's not like the wall cares or modifies or changes whether something is in or is not in. It doesn't make a difference. So one might say that every soul, it's like kind of every soul is divine electricity, and it doesn't matter whether the soul is in this body or it's in that body. It's the same electricity. That's one way to look at a soul. But the way the mystics explain it and describe it is that that's not exactly correct. Because although there is a part of every soul that is pure divine energy, there is a larger part of the soul that has its own unique identity, which means that souls are not interchangeable. They're not plug and play. It's not like walkie-talkie batteries where you pull one out from one device, you throw it into the other one because you need it in the other one. It's not the same. You can't.
Like DNA.
It's like
the soul has its own DNA.
Correct.
So it's connected to God with
Correct.
its own sort of DNA.
Correct. The soul has its own DNA, has its own spiritual fingerprint, as it were. Yes, at the core of the soul, the yechidah benefesh, there is there's the core of the soul that is pure divine stuff, as it were. Chelik elokam imal mamash, literally a piece of God. Yes, that is true. And if it's a piece of God, then how could it be differentiated? That's true.
The
but
other part.
the outside, not the body, even within the soul is different. So again, souls are not plug and play. You can't say, well, the soul in this person could just the same be in someone else. It doesn't work like that. Souls are not plug and play. Every soul has its personality and it's matched by God into the right body. So every soul has its specific soul strengths, as we've discussed many times. Some souls have more of an inclination toward chesed. Some have more to gvura, and that's not the body. That's not the body. The body gives the tools for the expression of that. My right hand, yemin mikarevet, small doche. My right hand brings close, my left hand rejects, as it were, not literally, but kind of metaphorically. But that's all the expression of that. But the soul personality is different. Every soul has a different personality. Every soul has its strengths. Every soul has its weaknesses. Every soul has its struggles. Every soul has its areas of being able to conquer. And that's not only the way it plays out, that's also the way before it plays out. The soul on its own is a nivra, is a creation. Now, how does this work? So, the way Kabbalah explains it, I'm going to give you a very rough approximation. It's not literally this, it's roughly this. The rough approximation is that every soul begins, as a piece of God himself, as it were. If we can slice, we're not actually cutting God into pieces, but as a part of God. And then it kind of tumbles through the various worlds and realms, Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiyah, the various worlds of existence, the world of emanation, creation, formation, and action. And in every world, there are multiple different levels, and of course, the 10 sefirot, the 10 sefira energies. And then at the end, it comes down. And one example, and I don't like this example.
So why use it?
Because I think it highlights something. I don't like it because it has to do with potentially violence, but whatever. It's like a gun. When you can trace a bullet back to the gun.
The ballistics.
Ballistics. What's matzah ballistics? What are ballistics? It's when the bullet is rotating through the chamber, right? It creates markings in the bullet. And every gun, even if it's the same gun manufacturer, the same gun model, whatever it is, when a bullet comes out, it's marked differently. Every soul tumbling through the various realms, the spiritual realms, on its way down below, is shaped a little bit differently. It's not by accident, it's by design, but that's an example maybe to think of it. Yeah.
When you say the soul is tumbling down to all those words, does the soul stop at every station and do something or go through a process?
Excellent question. Let me repeat it. That is asking, when the soul is coming from above to below through all of the different realms, does it get stuck there or it passes through? It says like this. There are certain souls below. The souls of tzaddikim. Hey guys, the souls of tzaddikim are called neshamot da'atzilut. Souls of atzilut. Hey guys, good to see you. Welcome. You guys braved the Ice Mageddon to make it.
I was hearing you were talking about New York earlier. I was like, this is like 31 degrees. I'm like, what are people
This
freaking
is
out
like,
about?
It's Georgia.
Israeli buffet breakfast.
Make sure. Oh, you guys got breakfast? Okay, good. All right. So basically like this. Well, your question was, does it stop? Listen, so going back to New York, you ready?
Yeah.
The subway. You're going from Brooklyn to Manhattan. There's two options. There's the local and the express. What's the difference? By the local, you stop at every station. 14th Street, 28th Street. I don't remember now. I'm like forgetting.
23rd.
Sean Ferguson. Sean Ferguson.
Irishman.
Yeah. I already forgot. I'm already forgetting. But you stop it, and at every stop, people get in, and people get off, and people get in, and it becomes a new experience. And you're affected by the culture of the stop, meaning you have different people getting on.
But you don't get off and walk
No.
Like
The soul
when
does.
you cruise and you go to a place and you come down. And then you continue.
No, you're not getting off, and
You're still en route to your final destination.
You're still going where you're going.
Now that soul, which has traveled along because it's 2026, my soul came from, way back. That piece.
Your soul came when it was still black and white.
Right. But here's my
color,
question.
not before color. I'm kidding.
What about these people that claim to recall their
previous
prior
life?
previous life?
I don't know. So the short answer is not sure, but it's a good question. We have to explore that. But let's get back into this idea. The idea is I'm going to use the Hebrew terms, the Kabbalistic terms. It's either derech hitlabshut, meaning that every level that it passes through, it somehow takes on some of the flavor of that, and so it becomes affected by, and that's the ballistics example, where it becomes like slightly modified by the journey. It picks up, flavors and colors and shades and from or derech ma'avir, or it's just a pass through. Meaning it's going through those levels, but it's not getting affected by levels. So souls of tzaddikim are considered to be souls of atzilut from the highest of the worlds. Now, aren't all souls from atzilut? Yes, but the rest of us, right, that are not tzaddikim, as the soul comes down from atzilut to the next world, guess what? It also takes on some of that layers. And then Yetzirah takes on that, and then Asiyah. So yes, it comes from there, but as it's here, it's not like, you know what it's like? It's kind of like, you ever hear people say about somebody like, oh, that person's a throwback, like an old soul, like old school, like a throwback. Or like a purist. Imagine you have like a baseball fan who's like, what is this interleague play? Who does that? Or why is I'm
old school. Why are they wearing gloves?
Why are hockey players? Where's Frank? Is Frank here? Frank is here. Frank's my hockey guy. Right? Why are hockey players wearing protective gear? What's up with that? Back in the day, where you think Guy Lafleur wore a helmet? There he is.
Bloody game.
That's it. And goalies wearing masks.
Teeth were knocked out.
Who came up with that? The Michigans, the craziness, coming up with masks for a goalie. And obviously, I'm kidding. Safety first. But my point is, you have someone who's like old, like a purist. What that means is that they're not affected. It's not a one-to-one comparison. I'm just giving an analogy. That person they live in 2026, but their values or their perspective is, 50 years, is still 50 years ago. A neshama da atzilut, a soul of atzilut, means every soul comes from atzilut or went through there. Yeah. But the souls that we call souls of atzilut down here are still like they were up there. They're unchanged. They're souls of emanation, souls of the world of emanation. Even down here, they have that type of connection where God is obvious and the world is a little less than obvious. As opposed to the rest of us, where the world is obvious and God is, maybe. I think I learned about God once. I think something happened that caused me to believe. All right. So all of that is a little about the soul. So point number one, because we have a long journey today. So point number one is that the soul is a nivra. The soul is a creation. Yes, it's a piece of God, but it's not like the electricity in the wall. It's not interchangeable. It's not on that level that it's, so amorphous that it has an identity. Every soul has a name. It says that the name that we give a child is associated with the name of the soul. So a soul has a name, has an identity, and has a specific mission. Now, yeah.
So when God created the world, He created all the souls.
It says that
because it's a creation.
Yes, souls were created. Yeah. And it says that, in Kabbalah, it says that souls are created. When is it? It's Shmini Atzeret and Shvi Shal Pesach. One, I think Shmini Atzeret is when they are
manufactured,
sort of, and then Shvi Shal Pesach is when they're born.
So it wasn't during creation, during the seventh day of creation. God created,
The question is, our soul. I'm with you. The question really is, our souls continue to be generated, or were they all the max amount were created and now they're just being allocated?
Where were they during Gan Eden? You only had the two people there.
No. Souls don't need a physical locale. They can hang out even in non-physical space.
Now we're told that the soul.
It's a good question. I don't know if I have a definitive answer for that. It seems like there were souls that were created at the beginning, but it seems like there are also souls that are being continued.
And furthermore, like soul is such an important part of, at least we believe in God's creation. Why is it? I mean, I guess Kabbalah now talks about it. And God created Adam and Eve and the souls of all human beings to be.
Vayipach ba'apav nishmat chaim.
One. Where is the rest of the souls?
Oh, no. Soul. You mean souls for humans or souls for animals?
For humans.
Maybe
Where
they're
is
born.
the mention of souls in the Torah at any point?
Let's just have to study Kabbalah.
I'm saying Kabbalah and this covers it's such. We all talk about souls. It's not even like a Kabbalah level anymore. People talk about it like
well, that's
everybody has neshama yehudit, neshama this, neshama that.
But it's in the Siddur. Elakai neshama shenatata bi. I know. Fine. I'm just saying it comes up. But you're right. When I give classes about afterlife, reincarnation, we're like, reincarnation? Are we sure that Judaism believes in that?
Yeah.
You have to study Kabbalah. You're right. You're not going to find it in the Code of Jewish law. Shulchan Aruch is not going to talk about how your soul is operated. But here's the point. Every soul has a mission. And because it goes into a body, it necessarily becomes affected by the experience of the body. It's impossible to imagine a scenario where the soul is going to spend 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120 years. The Rebbe sometimes would say till 180. Yeah, there's a source about that. Yitzchak lived to 180.
I don't want to go to 180.
In good health.
Oh.
There was once a Rebbe who told the chassid, I bless you with long life. He did a good thing. So he blessed him. He says, yeah, but not with a life with eyes that can't see and ears that can't hear. But then he explained it. Eyes that can't see Hashem and ears that can't hear Hashem. So there's both, right? So we want good long life and good health. But the point of this is that it's impossible to go through life for any manner of time without picking up some of the realities of this physical universe. Meaning that every soul, even though it is spiritual by nature, after its time on earth, has somehow been affected by the material world around it. It's almost like you walk into, I'm giving a positive Kabbalistic example that's brought in the books. If you walk into a perfume shop, even if you didn't spritz any on, you walk out, you might smell like perfume. Or you walk into a coffee shop, even if you didn't drink coffee, even if your name is Ari Sollish and you don't drink coffee, doesn't matter. You walk out, you might smell like coffee. Why? Because when you're around something for long enough, I'm giving the positive example. There are other examples that are given about walking into a shlachta, it's like different kind of smell. But
places where I've been.
Yeah, well, the positive, you smell like cookies. You walk out of the cookie shop, you smell like cookies. Here's the idea. A soul, after spending time on earth, at the time of death, what happens? Soul and body separate. Right? Birth is when the soul and body integrate. Death is when they, not disintegrate, but when they, we might call it, if we were asking Gwyneth, we would say, I think that's how we pronounce her name, conscious uncoupling, right? It's a moment of, if you know the reference, but I'm looking at this, no one knows what I'm talking about. It's an uncoupling. It's an uncoupling of body and soul. The body goes back to where it came from, which is the earth. We lay a body to rest, and the soul goes back to where it came from, which is heaven. It's not necessarily the sky, but it's to a spiritual realm, because the soul is spiritual. Remember, even though the soul is a nivra, a creation, let's not wrap our physical minds around that term and think that therefore it's a physical creation. It's not a physical creation. It's a spiritual creation. It's a creation, but it remains purely spiritual, which means you can't see it. You can't touch it. It doesn't require physical space to be housed. It doesn't operate by the parameters of physical reality, but it is a thing. It's not like the moment you unplug your toaster oven, the electricity doesn't go anywhere. It's not exactly the same thing. The soul is a thing, is a separate entity and a thing. So what happens to the soul? What happens to the soul is this. The soul is intended to return to a place of connection with its source. That's where it's supposed to be. However, it's complicated. Why is it complicated? It's complicated because after spending time on earth, even the soul is affected by the experience.
Well, this is like an episode of Twilight Zone, where the soul is on earth and is affected by the experience and doesn't want to return.
First of all, the Twilight Zone probably got it from Pirkei Avot.
Right.
Where it says, Ba'al karcha gatachai, against your will, you die. Meaning, even though the soul, it says also, against your will, you were born. At the end of the day, and the day meaning the long day of life, the soul doesn't want to go back. Why? Because on some level, it appreciates either the opportunity to do mitzvah here, or it appreciates the physical comforts. Meaning, even though the soul is spiritual, it can and necessarily does become affected by its physical environment. That is just the way it works.
Now, I was always told that the soul comes back again to do the job. Every time it comes back, you raise the level.
So hold on. Hold on.
I want to know if it ever works the reverse.
Where you come back lower?
Where you come back and the soul gets lower.
Good. Hold on. We're not there yet. So every soul, in order to connect with heaven, in order for that to happen, the soul has to go through a cleansing process. Now, why does it have to go through a cleansing process? Because, again, the soul picks up residue of this physical world, and that residue is just not, imagine, if you will, this is, again, a crude example that I'm coming up with. Imagine if you're invited to the king's palace, but you took the shortcut. And so you walk through the woods a little bit, and now your boots are a little bit bashmutz. Your boots are a little bit dirty. Walk into the palace and mark the floor. What is that? Of course not. You gotta make sure everything is clean before you walk into the palace. In a similar way, not exactly, I don't mean this literally, but in a similar way, the soul needs a purification before it goes in. To give you an example of this is a story that the Baal Shem Tov told once, a parable that he gave. And I want you to not get stuck on the parable, but on the deeper message behind the parable. He says there was once a coach driver, a wagon driver. And this guy was a rough guy, a coarse, not a refined character, a coarse guy. A grub mensch. And, he didn't live a particularly spiritual life, but he had there was one time that he really did something special, which is one time he was driving his horse and wagon and he sees somebody stuck on the side of the road and they were in a precarious situation. It was dangerous, and he rescued this person and basically saved their life. Good. Passes away. This is all the story of the Baal Shem to his students. This guy passes away, and he goes up before the heavenly tribunal, the heavenly court, and they figure out what to do with him. This guy has he didn't do anything, didn't do mitzvahs, didn't study Torah, doesn't really have, but he did save a life. So we can't send him, to purgatory. We just can't send them to, whatever it is, the Negel place. We got to send them to heaven. But they said, what kind of heaven is this guy going to get? What kind of heaven? So they asked him, what kind of heaven do you want? He says, what kind of heaven do I want? Give me a good road, a good wagon, some strong horses, and a good whip. And the Baal Shem Tov says, for all eternity, this guy is whipping the horses, giddy up, or whatever they say. I don't know what they said in Russia, but, let's go.
How come it's not Poland?
What? Maybe Poland.
Okay.
1 second. Understand the story? Don't take it so literally. But what's the meaning of the story? The meaning of the story is, if you take a soul that's entire conception has become focused on the physical experience, and you ask them to design a paradise, you know what the paradise is going to look like? Every day is a Super Bowl. That's your paradise? Imagine the best physical thing in the world, maximize it, and that becomes your paradigm for paradise. Oy gewalt. You see, we are so stuck. We, right now, are so stuck in physical understanding to try to even fathom what true spiritual paradise and bliss could look like is impossible. We can't. So the only thing we can picture is what we can picture. Forget this story. The story is to highlight, it didn't actually, the story, or maybe it didn't, but the story is to highlight a truth. And that is that the first step for the soul, in order to appreciate what real paradise is to divest itself of almost its memory or attachment to horses and carriages and roads and whips. You got to let that go, because as long as you're holding on to that definition of what's good, then it's going to hold you back from, number one, anticipating anything greater, and number two, even appreciating anything greater. Because you might say, hey, where's my, there's no sushi in heaven? What is this? Let me speak to the manager. What? There's no cable? There's no Netflix? What is this? Step one is...
We know there's baseball in heaven.
There is baseball in heaven.
Because we know who's pitching on Wednesday.
That's right. The Pittsburgh Steelers are... I'm not even going to talk about that right now. So here's the deal. Does this make sense, by the way? The soul has to divest itself of almost its memory and attachment to the negative. So in Kabbalah, there's a description of some of the different processes that are involved to cleanse the soul. One is called kaf hakela. Kaf hakela is roughly translated as the slingshot. Okay.
The what shot?
The slingshot.
Oh, I thought you said the flu shot.
Not the flu shot. Not the flu shot. The slingshot. The slingshot.
Get old and get hearing aids. They work so well.
The slingshot. What is the slingshot? So imagine if you had, let me think of this, an example. Imagine you had something like dusty. Something like, maybe like, when you play, what's the bar game? I don't know if it's a bar game. Outdoor. Bocce. No, you throw the little ball, bag into the hole. Cornhole. There we go. Yeah. So imagine you had one of those things that you toss, but it was like dirty. So imagine you wanted to get it undirty. So you threw it to the other guy to catch, and when he catches it, what happens?
The dirt rubs off on his head.
Well, it like poofs into the air a little bit, and then he throws it back to you, and it poofs again. So this is great. And after a few times, you get out the
poof.
You get it, yeah. Well, you get out the poof gets out the schmutz, the dirt, the sand, whatever it is. That's how you get rid of it. One way to get rid of it, perhaps. Kaf hakela, in a similar way, is for the soul. The soul, it says, gets slingshot. This is what it says in Kabbalah, from one end of the world to the other, and that means like the universe, one end of the universe to the other. I don't know if it's two angels that are doing this, that are tossing the soul, but the soul, that happens not as a form of punishment, but rather as a form of cleansing. That is what we would call somewhat of a light dusting.
So we become athletic equipment.
Yeah.
The soul does.
Maybe.
Like bungee jumping, but somebody in the other end sending you back.
Yeah, but on a deeper level, what is this idea of kaf hakela? You ever look at an audience? Anyone ever been to a tennis match in person? Yeah.
Forest Hills, in fact.
Nice. So when you are...
U.S. Open. Yeah. I said U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it was on clay courts. It was the old stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Before color.
Everything.
There was clay on the court, but it was all black and white.
My life is like the Wizard of Oz. At a certain point, it turns from black and white to color.
It becomes colorized.
I think it became color at 10, but okay, go on.
So basically, what's the tennis? You watch the audience and they're like back and forth. The soul, it says, what is the cleansing? Is it literally an angel throwing the soul? How does that cleanse the soul? By being thrown? Like, what does it really mean? That's how it's described. What does it really mean? Because we know that the Kabbalists always speak in coded language. So that's one of the reasons why Kabbalah, there's a little caution about studying it when you're not ready to study it, because you're going to take things a little too literally sometimes. What does it really mean? It really means that the soul is kind of shown, or it re-experiences the back and forth of its life, meaning how it did good things, but also not so good things. And the contrast is painful, but ultimately cathartic. Does that make sense? Meaning, it's almost like, how do you get rid of the negativity that kind of came up in one's experience during one's lifetime? It's the kind of, what they say, like replaying it for the soul, but this idea of the good times the successes, but also the not so good times, and the contrast between like the moments that we did it for God, the moments that we were focused on self, etc. That contrast is the kafakel, is the back and forth, the slingshot that kind of helps the soul heal and recognize what wasn't good and embrace what was. That's one thing.
Why can't the soul just be cleansed by its leaving the body? Well, I mean, there are so many other things. Okay, what makes me think of like when a child is born?
Yeah.
Knows the whole Torah until it's hit there. And boom,
so you want an easy button to like wipe out?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It should be an auto
so
clean erase.
So there is a button, but this is what happens after you press the button. It's the kafakela.
So we record over it.
So you have to, what do they say? You can't heal unless you feel. Maybe I made that up now. Right? You can only heal what you can feel. Like if you can't feel it, you can't heal it. You got to feel it. You got to re-experience it on some level to be able to like.
You can't heal what you don't understand.
Yeah, you have to feel it, right, and you have to have that perspective. You have to process exactly. You have to process it. You can't magically say, "Oh, I'm forgetting it." It doesn't work. It's not so easy. Even the soul doesn't have like immediate amnesia. It has to. Now, that's one thing. That's kafakela. Then you have chibut hakever. Chibut hakever is actually brought in our text, which we're going to jump back into and kind of reread a little bit. Chibut hakever means, I don't know, it's translated here as purgatory of the grave. I don't know exactly.
Purgatory of the
grave, of the kever, of the grave. What does that mean?
Stuck in your grave.
Well, what it means is, what it means is that the body is, and this happens to everybody, right? The body is caused to disintegrate, and there's no pleasant way to say this, and kind of be decomposed, but also like eaten by worms and maggots and what. Again, I'm not comfortable to talk about, but yeah.
But we talk about the reverse of that when you take in food and whatever you eat becomes a part of you.
Right. So what is this for? What is this for? What is chibut hakever for? It's exactly that. Chibut hakever is for all the times that we consumed, not with a higher intention. Even if later on we use the energy for a mitzvah, but if in the moment it wasn't l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven, so yes, the energy of the food was ultimately directed to a higher purpose, but the experience of pleasure, that needs to be taken away, meaning, and that's symbolized by the disintegration, as it were, of the body in the grave. So that's that. And then, of course, there is plain old Gehinnom, which is purgatory. And there's Gehinnom shel Eish, purgatory of fire. And there's Gehinnom shel Sheleg, purgatory of
snow,
ice and snow. And one might say this morning, it's not so bad. It actually looks nice out there. But there's Gehinnom shel Sheleg. That's when we were cold to things that we shouldn't be cold to. So that's kind of ice on ice. And then there's Gehinnom shel Eish, which is the fire against the things that we were a little too excited about. Right?
So, for me. Huh? You threw everything things for me. I was hoping that this was the last trip for my soul.
One second.
This was going to be it for me.
1 second. We haven't yet talked about reincarnation. So, but I need to be very clear here. Although we mentioned some stuff, including the kafakela slingshot and the chibut hakever, purgatory of the grave, and the Gehinnom shel Eish, Gehinnom shel Sheleg, the fiery Gehinnom, the icy Gehinnom. Although we've mentioned all of that, in Judaism, none of these are stages of punishment or retribution, or this is not a punishment. It's rather a cleansing process. It's no different than the concept of putting your clothes in a washing machine, where it has, the old school ones used to have the middle piece that turned around. What was it called? Who remembers what that was called?
I still have one.
The agitator.
Ah!
Remember the agitator? Why is it called the agitator? Well, you want to make your clothes upset? It's like, I'm going to agitate you now. I come in peace. Why are you agitating me? You have to, if you want to clean something, you gotta get rough sometimes. You gotta get a little rough if you want to clean it. That's the way it
That's
is.
how dirty it was.
That's what I'm saying. Depending on, but the point is, it's not, God forbid, a punishment or retribution or pain for the sake of pain. It's all for the sake of cleansing. Now, I don't want to focus on this too much, although we literally just spent time. And that's why I didn't want to write about it in the email, because I felt like this is what I'm going to write about in the email. Come and join us as we talk about the cosmic slingshot of the soul and what happens in the afterlife. I mean, yes, I could have done that, but like didn't feel comfortable doing that.
I just heard the breakfast part, and that guy.
Yeah, that guy, you got
hot breakfast on an icy cold morning.
I had you at breakfast. So the point is that this is the experience of the soul, but it's all about being able to let go of the material attachment so as to fully embrace what real paradise is. That's the point. We don't want a situation where the soul is like, this is it? This is paradise? Where's the horse and carriage? Where's the horse and buggy? I want the horses and the whip. What's up with this? This is paradise? I got to speak to a manager. I thought the beds were going to be way more comfortable. That's
clarity.
Huh?
It's about getting clear on what.
It's almost like when you have a child who's and then you want them to be able to appreciate the good things. It's like, imagine a kid's birthday, I don't know, 3 years old, and you give them a check for $100. Happy birthday.
I'm not going to do it.
The kid's like, I'd rather have a lollipop. And you're like, 1 second. To you, a lollipop is good. Because that's what you can understand now. But this check, you know how many lollipops you can get for $100? A lot of lollipops.
Not as many as when I was a kid.
But a lot of stuff. That's true. But a lot of stuff. You know the story about the grandfather that's sitting with his grandson. He says, it's not like it used to be. Back in the day, you can go into a store, you could get a dozen eggs and 2 cartons of milk and 3 loaves of bread.
French toast.
It's all like for nothing. And the kid says, well, what changed? He says, surveillance cameras. Okay, there you go. That was a joke. No, not a good joke.
That's a good joke. That's good.
All right, there you go.
That was like his puppet joke.
It was a little unexpected. The big idea here is that it's all about the soul being able to embrace a pure truth. Than the truth that it knows locked into a physical body. In a physical body, think about it this way. The soul has a capacity to experience and to know lots of things. But imagine you take the soul and you put it inside a closed orb, a closed thing, a closed jar, and you close it. I mean, you put it into a thing, you container, and you close it up. And now it can't perceive anything. And then you poke a few holes inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears. And say, all right, this is all you're getting. And it's all going to be filtered through your physical senses.
There's a theological story about this called Allegory of the Cave.
Yes.
That's basically what that is.
Where you're only seeing the shadows.
Well, yeah, the men stuck in the cave and then the one that makes it out. And do you go back? And what's the dilemma here? And how do you perceive the light?
Right. Yeah. That's like is that Plato or something?
I think
one
so.
of the early philosophers.
They are so smart on that side of the table.
Not at all.
You
got to have a couple of the tools.
He knows things I never even learned and never will learn.
The soul needs to divest itself of its memory of not all the memories, not all the good stuff, but the stuff that would hold it back. It has to let go of that so that it can embrace something new and something better. That's the goal. The goal is an upgrade. It's like the story is told about a rabbi. His name was Rabbi Zera. He was a Babylonian sage, lived probably in either the 300s or the 400s, somewhere around there. So he lived in Bavel in Babylonia, where they had major academies of Torah study. And he decided to move to Israel to be with the scholars in Israel. There's 2 different sets of Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud, the Jerusalem Talmud. So he decided he's going to move from one to the other. So the Talmud says he fasted for 40 days to forget all of his studies before he moved. And the question is asked, why would you want to forget all your studies? And the answer is because as long as you're holding on to that derech halimud, that way of understanding, you're not going to be able to embrace a higher level of understanding, which they had in Israel. Israel was a higher level, more clarity. That's why the Babylonian Talmud is very complicated because it's like grappling in darkness for the answer as opposed to seeing. It's like the old analogy of there's an elephant.
Yerushalmi much smaller.
Yeah, but it's more direct. It's more direct. It's like
Not as
boom,
much
boom.
argument back and forth.
And the argument is born of confusion in the Babylonian Talmud. It's like, well, what's the deal? It's like you're in the dark and you're feeling something, and it's like, oh, it's an elephant. But like after a lot of trial and error, oh, it's a tree trunk. Oh, it's a branch. Oh, it's this, that. Oh, it's an elephant. And that's how the Talmud looks. Grappling could be a whole page and a half, and then it's like, oh, it's an elephant. Not literally, but metaphorically. As opposed to you just see an elephant and you talk about the elephant. So he fasted, but the point is about Rabbi Zera fasting for 40 days in order to be able to embrace a new way of learning without holding on to the old stuff. You see, as long as you're holding on to an older paradigm or to a previous paradigm, you're not going to be able to fully be open to embracing a new paradigm. It says in Kabbalah, always to go from yesh to yesh, there needs to be an ayin be'emtza. There has to be an absence of, to go from one state to a radically different state, you have to have a gap, a blank spot in the middle. Because if you don't, then you're not going to get something radically new. You're just going to have a bigger version of this. It's like, imagine if you planted a seed in the ground and it never broke open imagine a scenario. You take a seed, you put it into the ground, you come back a year later and you have a big seed. You feel like, am I being pranked here? What actually just happened?
It's called the potato.
I'm just saying, it's like, I don't want a big seed. I want an apple tree. I don't want a seed. So if you don't, but to go from a seed to an apple tree, that's like two different realities. To go from small seed to bigger seed is the same reality. How do you get from seed to tree as opposed from seed to bigger seed? The seed has to open up, has to break itself open, disintegrate into the ground, and then it can become something new. As long as it remains, if you took nail polish, no, not remover, the other stuff, the sealer, whatever it is that you the clear stuff, clear coat, and you paint the seed. Imagine you paint the seed, seal it up, put it into the ground. You know what's going to happen? Nothing. It has to be vulnerable. It has to open up. It has to lose its identity as a seed in order to become a tree. That's how it always works in life. If you say no, if you want to protect yourself, I'm a seed. You know what you're going to be? A seed. You might be a bigger seed than yesterday. You might be the biggest seed in the world, and the max that you're going to get is a place in the Guinness Book of World Records of the biggest seed and the weirdest situation. It's like, oh my gosh, this farmer somewhere in Idaho planted a seed and got a really big seed, and this is weird, huh?
That's not so much of chemicals getting sprayed.
Exactly, and so that's all you're going to have is a novelty item. But if you want something radically different, you got to be willing to let go. That's how it always works.
So
yesh to yesh is ayin be'emtza. And you know that ayin be'emtza, again in Hebrew, yesh means something, yesh means something, and in the middle is ayin. Ayin means nothing. To get from something to something, you have to be ready and prepared to be nothing. That's scary. It's scary to be nothing because it's like jumping off the edge. It's jumping into the unknown. Jumping into the unknown with the hope that on the other side is something greater waiting for you. That's very difficult. That's the experience of Rabbi Zera. He says, if I retain my knowledge, I'm going to have more, but it's going to be more of the same. If I want something really different, I have to pray. He prayed, not just fasted. He prayed for 40 days to forget all of his learning. And you think that's crazy.
Did it work?
That's what it says. I don't know. That's what the Talmud says. With what? I'll tell you what it looks like. You ready? First of all, it works like that in relationships. The ability to make yourself vulnerable and open up and embrace something that's going to be new on the other side. So I'm my person, right? I am a single unit. And then to embrace a relationship means that there's a space, there's a gap in the middle that I have to be ready to be vulnerable and to experience something new. So that's one thing. But on a simple level, even within our learning, somebody who walks into a Torah class, whatever it is, with prior knowledge and is trying to think, how does this fit in with my way of thinking, is never going to really, truly experience Torah on its terms. It's always going to be on my terms. I agree with this. I don't agree with this. Oh, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. I like it. I don't like it. It's always about, it's just either affirming or not affirming what I already know, as opposed to coming in like a blank slate, coming in with almost like no prior knowledge, coming in to absorb what Torah has to say. That's a real derech. That's a real way to learn Torah. Every time we open up the page of Torah, whatever it is, to be open to hearing what it has to say, not to confirm what I want to believe. So that's within Torah learning itself. But in every area, you have this. In every area, if you want to design an iPhone, and what you have is a BlackBerry, if you make a better BlackBerry, you don't have an iPhone. You just have nicer buttons, more tactile buttons. You have to rip up the design, blank sheet of paper, and start again. Reimagine what could be. Again, if you don't, you're just going to have a more evolved it's like evolution versus revolution. Evolution means this, you start with this and it's evolving. I mean, that's the claim against iPhone now or whatever it is now. Every generation is the same thing. It's just tweaked with this.
The camera moves around a little bit.
It's like, oh, camera's here, it's this way, it's now a triangle, whatever it is. But it's all the same concept. As opposed to, there are moments in design or in life, whatever, that are radical breaks. And it always happens.
Yeah, it's called AI.
Maybe, but it always happens with somebody saying, forget what was done. What could be? So there are many different examples, right? Examples in human relationships, examples in learning, examples in technology and development. But it's scary. It's scary to throw out what was. It's scary to. It's true in emunah and faith. It's like, do I have the ability to believe and trust in Hashem and not have the need to be in control? Do I have the ability to let go and to allow Hashem, to allow God to guide the rest of the narrative? That's a very scary proposition. The more I want to hold on to it, the more is my my ego, my reality trying to impose a certain situation. Why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this because the soul almost has to go through a similar process. The soul, as it's below, is a creation in a body serving a role. It has its purpose. The soul above is going to be with Hashem, experiencing whatever. Again, and I don't have the tools to articulate that, because how could I? Something that no human mind can fathom, what that pleasure. I mean, the Kabbalists say that imagine the greatest pleasure in this world and magnify it, infinitely. That's how spiritually pleasurable that paradise, Gan Eden, is. So what does that look like? An ice cream? Anything you're going to say is going to bring it all the way back down to the lowest level. So like, what's the point? Can't even talk about it other than saying it's greater than we can imagine. Fine. So how do you go from here to there? Ayin be'emtza. And that's either through, meaning there has to be you have to let go of what you had. If you don't let go of what you had, you'll still have what you had. And that might be okay, but it's not great. So the wagon driver didn't let go. So what does he have? A better wagon. An infinitely better wagon. Sorry, not infinitely. A better wagon for eternity. That's what he has. Great. You want that? You want a better wagon? What's heaven? Heaven is, I finally get the car of my dreams. That's it. That's it. Imagine if we were to design our own heaven. Oy. It's like the story of the king.
We all do in our minds anyway.
I know, but I'm saying imagine if that was binding. Oy, Gaval, that would be painful. It's almost like the story with the king and the prince wanders off and goes on his own and eventually gets into the wrong company and he doesn't want to come. It's a very sad situation with him. This is the prince, and meanwhile, he's living a life of who knows what. And one day, they hear that the king is coming by on the road, and if you take a petition, you write a request down on a piece of paper, or make a little paper airplane, if you throw it in and it lands inside the carriage of the king, anything that lands inside, the wish is granted. And the king is going, and something comes in, and he opens it up, and he recognizes his son's handwriting. And it says, "Dear king, I'd like a better hut." And the king starts crying. "You're asking for a better hut? Ask to come home." Ask for a better hut. Can I have my hut's made of straw. I would like to make something a little bit more substantial. A better hut? You have the ability to ask to come all the way home, to be with me in my house. That's what you want? You just want like a Lamborghini? You don't want to have paradise on that level? All you want is that? A Corvette? That's it?
Have you seen the latest Corvettes?
I have not. But even the latest Corvette is like that wagon driver with his horse and buggy. Yeah.
Very similar to the story with the janitor. The guy that was working in a high rise and, for years he would climb up and down and clean the trash and everything. And before, retirement, they recognized him and they did the whole thing and they said, whatever, you have a chance to request whatever you want, in life, we will grant it for you. And he said, I wish you would just put an elevator that will stop at any floor that I can take the trash down.
A better trash removal. I thought it was going to say a better broom to clean with, but similar, right? That's the thing. So the greatest kindness, listen to this, the greatest kindness is the opportunity to forget the narishkeit, forget the silliness, the foolishness, and to be able to embrace what's really valuable, what's really important. It's a truth in life. It's a truth in life. You can't really appreciate something that's exponentially greater than what you have until you are willing to let what you have go. That's what I'm saying in life. You have to be willing to let something go to embrace something new. You have to. If you're still holding on to what you have, then you're just going to have a larger version of what you already have. You want something radically different? You got to let it go. And that's the scariest thing in life. The scariest thing in life is letting something go. Most people would rather have what they have. That's not the greatest, rather than let that go and feel like they have nothing. Even though what's on the other side of that might be something way greater than that. That's why they always say, if you took everybody in the town and you all their baggage, all the peklach, all the baggage, and you dumped it in the middle of the town square, and you said, everybody, you could choose whatever baggage you want. You know what everyone's going to take? Their own baggage. Why? Because it's the baggage I know.
No, I'm taking yours.
What about?
I'm taking you a bit.
You don't want my baggage.
I'm taking you a bit.
I want my baggage.
No returns.
Don't take my baggage.
No returns.
No, I was just going to say it's control. It's safety.
It's control. Because human beings, we want to feel safe. We want to feel in control. We don't want to look out over, most of us, whatever, look out over the diving board and be like, wait, so if you saw that guy that just climbed the tower in Alex Hammond, that guy is a beast. He's unbelievable.
I saw some clip this morning.
Yes, it happened yesterday. This guy.
But now you don't know if it's real or not.
Of course it's real. This guy is legit. He's been doing this before AI. Yes. Okay. This guy was climbing. It's hard to describe. I've been following him for a number of years. He climbs like rock structures that go like this. Like he climbs with no ropes.
No ropes.
Just his hands.
I think that
bare
the
hands.
Little clip I saw, he literally had his legs locked in on this tower.
He climbed the tower.
Just his core holding him. And the next part which she had to reach was 2 feet away. You're like, you're about to fall. Physics doesn't even make sense.
Physics doesn't make. He's a big man. He's I don't know how much he weighs, but it's got to be close to 200 pounds. He's a tall guy, big guy. He's in incredible shape. His core, it's unbelievable. Why? I don't even know why I'm saying this. I just got excited about it. And this is the first time he climbed the tower. He'd never done it before. And he did a practice run with ropes, actually. He did 2 practice runs. But he's only done rocks and formations. We're
talking about control originally.
Oh, yeah. You don't, yes. Who wants to look over the ledge and jump? No one. Okay, that was my point in my head. Alex Hammond probably wouldn't mind. This guy, I think that's his name. Maybe I'm making up his name. This guy maybe doesn't mind. But most of us, to jump into the abyss, to take that leap, to be the seed that says, I'm no longer a seed. Because maybe I could be a tree. What kind of guts that is? To say, I am ready to lose my identity as a seed. Because if everything goes right, I might just become a tree. And what if it doesn't? How many times did my kids put seeds in the ground and nothing happened? I don't know. Maybe it's user error. I acknowledge that that's.
We got to be careful with the audience because then you have somebody who's never practiced that decides they want to take this.
Oh, no. So one second. I'm not saying jump to everything.
As we get older, though,
yeah,
I always feel like I'm going to be the seed in the ground. They're going to put me in the ground. I'm going to be the seed. And one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to find out that, there's a neshama, and my neshama is floating around somewhere, and everything is wonderful as I had anticipated being.
Yes.
Or
they
put me in the ground.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Okay. The answer is A, number one.
I hope so.
And B, number two, not B of your B, but the point number one is the answer is A.
It's Alex Holland.
What's
Alex Holland?
How do you spell it?
I don't know. It's in the Hebrew, so I can.
How do you spell it in Hebrew?
I read a newspaper, and they were talking about this guy.
Do you know he canceled it? He was supposed to do it the day before because it was raining. He canceled it.
Got all the way to the top of the top.
It's not. You can't.
Where is that tower?
You can't fathom. It's Taipei.
Oh, it's Taipei.
Yeah,
it's Taipei. You cannot fathom.
It was broadcasted live on Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix broadcasted. Yeah, okay, anyway, bottom line is...
They don't have you sign like a terms and conditions just in case you're watching this?
Oh my God.
I believe a guy did that once before at the World Trade Center.
That should be emotional and
climb the outside of the building.
Look, here's the point. The point is, in life, we can play it safe. And I would say most people do. And even people that do take risks also play it safe. And playing it safe means that I'd rather have good than potentially great. Because I know it, and I'm in control of it, and it feels safe, and it's okay. The scarier notion is to roll the dice and just let go with the hope and the trust and the faith that on the other side, it's going to be radically greater. What is important for today's conversation is that the soul is not necessarily given the choice. The soul is caused to divest itself of its prior attachments so that it can attach itself. That divestment is difficult. Imagine that scary journey of letting go of something that's comfortable. That's not pleasant. Kafakela is not pleasant. Chibut HaKever is not pleasant. Gehinnom is not pleasant. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant to let go. It's not pleasant to be forced to let go. Right? Any situation, if anyone's ever been in a situation where they were in a place that wasn't great, whether it's in work or relationship, whatever it is, and it's not great, and you know you need to go, but then you're let go, or whatever it is.
Oh, it's terrible.
Doesn't feel good. You know it's a good thing for you. It still feels lousy. Why? And you might have decided tomorrow that you were going to do it. Yeah. And maybe you decided yesterday that you're going to do it. But if they pull the plug on you and you don't pull the plug on them, it feels lousy. Why?
You're out of control.
Because you lost control, and that wasn't your control. And so it's uncomfortable.
But none of our life we have control over.
We all like to think that we're in control. You're right. Ultimately, we're not in control. But we like to think. The human mind is really good at kind of constructing things that we feel we're in control.
But I know better because I've taken some Soldish classes.
That's it. Spoken like a wise scholar.
Hey, I want to eat for free tomorrow too.
It's true actually. So here's the point. The point of today's class, and we'll wrap it up right now. The point, and we're not going to get to Shabbat. We'll do it next week. That's funny.
Oh, now you sucked me into
We'll do Shabbat next week.
Now you sucked me into coming next week.
Oh my gosh! Then we have to talk about reincarnation.
Do we have to forget everything before next week?
Yes. Forget everything I said this week. Delete the email from from last night, so that I can send it again. No, but all joking aside. So today we explained, and we're not going to do this because it was just one line that we read already last week. But I just want to read it again. I'm not going to hand it out, and I'm not going to pull it up. But just he says basically, when somebody eats food, it becomes their flesh and blood, and therefore the body will later require cleansing. And that is referring to Chibut HaKever, purgatory of the grave, which cleanses the body of its attachment. And that's the point. The soul needs to cleanse from its attachment The soul needs to cleanse from the fact that it had that type of experience and that type of pleasure through the body. It's got to somehow divest itself of that. And that's what this process is about. And it's not about, remember the clothes in the washing machine. It's not about agitating the clothes. It's about cleaning them. It's about getting it to a place where it's ready for a completely radically greater experience. So that is that. We're also, okay, so this will set us up to speak next week about Shabbat and how eating on Shabbat is radically different than eating during the week. I started this last week and I wrote about it in the email, but we're going to actually read it inside next week. We'll start with this. How eating on Shabbat, even if there's pleasure, it's not the pleasure of the body, it's the pleasure of the soul, and therefore it does not require any cleansing. You with me, Soph? You with me on this? You know how they say on Shabbat calories, they don't count?
You can't gain weight on Shabbat.
What does it really mean? I don't know if that's physically true, but it's spiritually true. Meaning throughout the week, that the attachment that we have to food, even kosher food,
It's a spiritual weight. You can't gain spiritual weight.
Can't gain spiritual weight, right? You know, so during the week, all the food that we eat, even if it's kosher, 100%, whatever it is, but the fact that we enjoyed it means that we have to somehow divest ourselves from that experience for the soul to have a true connection to God, because you can't be in love with God and with sushi at the same time, without it affecting the two.
I go with sushi.
Because you're always going to be saying, hey, God, and looking to see if anyone's bringing out the sushi. There's always going to be something. So we got to get rid of the sushi in order to appreciate God. One second, hold on.
God served that sushi.
1 second. But on Shabbat, it's different. On Shabbat, the pleasure that we have in the food is not for the food. It's for oneg Shabbat. It's for the mitzvah of the pleasure of Shabbat. Therefore, we don't have to compensate, or we don't have to heal that pleasure. That pleasure was always part of a mitzvah. It wasn't even the food that we enjoy on Shabbat, that itself is a mitzvah. You see the difference? Does that make sense? During the week, the food we can elevate, but the pleasure of the food, who said pleasure? But on Shabbat, the pleasure of the food is also a mitzvah, because we're supposed to enjoy Shabbat. And how do you enjoy Shabbat? The Code of Jewish Law says, with good food and drink. So therefore, the pleasure of the food is not a physical pleasure that needs to be forgotten. It's a spiritual pleasure. Even the physical pleasure of the food is a spiritual pleasure that can be incorporated into the soul's spiritual work. And therefore, we don't need to heal from that. So now that I just explained it in 30 seconds, we don't need to start with it next week, and we'll just move on to the next.
That's why challah smells so good on Shabbos.
And by the way,
smells awful on Tuesday.
Yeah, go eat challah on Tuesday. You'll be like, what is happening? By the way, I will say, in very religious neighborhoods, some of them you can buy challah throughout the week.
I thought just Thursday.
And for sure Thursday night. Last year, I'm actually going to be away in about a month Please God in Toronto to visit my son in yeshiva there. I'm hoping it gets warmer.
Not
because
another month, still not in Toronto.
My gosh, it is freezing now. But I took him out, like right across from the yeshiva, there's all these restaurants. Like there's the one block that his yeshiva's on,
as all the kosher
Bathurst and something else. That one block in Toronto has more kosher restaurants than the entirety of the state of Georgia. I mean, it's basically Atlanta, but I'm just going to say, I'm going to say the state.
It has more than three.
It has more than three. There's like 7 to 8. More than Macon. You're making me crazy.
More than Lakewood?
No, I don't know, but like Lakewood's a different league unto itself.
Now you're reaching.
But so I got in Thursday night. So I took him right across the street. And by the way, he's got a lot of self-control. Like he doesn't go to any of these places.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe that and he doesn't have the money. No kidding. So, he
Send him more money.
He's like, the yeshiva food is fine. He's very like.
Send him more money.
Yeah, he's very disciplined guy.
Oh,
Mendel.
Mendel.
Yeah. So I took him across the street. There's like this place. And they're serving challah. It's Thursday night. I'm like, not happening. I'm not paying for challah on the Thursday night. Now, potato kugel I did get. Because I'm a junkie. I have to try a potato kugel.
That's my favorite food in the world.
If anyone is making a potato kugel, I'm going to try it. Like, I just need to try.
Pineapple kugel?
Yeah. There was a kugel yesterday by Kiddush Club. That's a sweet kugel, right?
Yeah. The Levi Lowenstein's dish.
Oh, does he make it? Yeah.
His wife.
Is that
so there was
is sweet Lipfish or Galiciana?
No, sweet is Hungarian. The Hungarians put sugar in everything. The yesterday Kiddush Club. By the way, for those that don't know Kiddush Club, it's in the middle of the service, in the middle of the Torah reading. Toward the end of the Torah reading, you pregame l'chaim and bites to eat. It's like the sanctioned, official, unofficial.
In your email next week, can you please add challah? I didn't see it today.
Sunday morning challah? I don't think anybody wants that.
We got gefilte fish.
So they had Ellie Rothman made a sweet kugel, the perfect caramelization of the. Oh, it was fantastic. Anyway, back to the story. So, what's the theme of this week? What's the energy of today that we can take into the week? The energy of today is, first of all, a better understanding of how the process works. We didn't get into reincarnation, but it's maybe we'll have to do that again. Right. We'll have to come back again to do that. Joking. So reincarnation, the edge, yeah, making everyone a little painful with these jokes.
I didn't want to encourage him. We're supposed to be making the jokes. He's supposed to.
That's true. That's true. So this week we spoke about the process. First of all, what a soul is and how it comes down through the worlds and how it experiences life and the attachments that it gains and the need to divest itself of those attachments in order to experience something radically, not just a little bit better, not just more sushi, not just more elaborate buffets, not just an international buffet station situation, but something radically, radically different, spiritually different. And that requires letting go of the physical. And in all of our lives, and this is the message and the homework for this week, in all of our lives, it's important, I think, to, from time to time, look at what are those things that are, what are those things in the status quo that are good, but holding me back. You know what they say? Good is the enemy of great. So what are the things that are good, but because they're good, they're actually holding me back from something greater? And how can I, on some level, let them go in order to cross over, as it were, not literally, but to the other side and experience something that is radically greater than what I currently have. And so we can all apply that in our own ways in our own lives. And let's do that and indeed continue to climb, continue to grow, and maybe even climb that tower. It's like a love-hate relationship with these things. When I watch it, I get dizzy. Like I get like physically like messed up, but I can't.
It's like watching Evil back.
You ever see these guys that climb? You ever see these guys that climb construction sites with like GoPros?
Yeah, the ones that are like literally
hanging off.
Yeah.
Like, oh hey,
because in Russia they have nothing to do.
In Russia, no, it's all right.
Nothing to do. They live in these towns. There's nothing to do.
A lot of Russian, yeah.
They don't have a place to go out. They're just like, either I'm going to drink alcohol or I'm going to do this crazy thing.
Or I'll do both. I'll drink alcohol, then I'll climb it.
What about the Mohawk Indians that built the Empire State Building and walked along those beams and the cranes? I get so physically like, yeah. I'm like,
your palm starts sweating?
Yeah, the whole deal.
You know, as a child.
And my wife really is like, what? So why are you watching it? I'm like, I don't know. I just have to. I just have to. I can't not at this point. I'm invested.
My dad has a thing like if he sees like when we were kids, if we get injured and there is blood, he's very like
queasy,
like around blood. But then he sits at home and watches those surgeries.
Yeah.
Fascinated by the whole thing.
Because it's not real. It's on TV. It's not live.
Like you're watching all these things, but when they're like, I don't know.
Alex Honnold. Honnold is his name. Honnold, yeah.
In Hebrew, it sounded like Holland.
Yeah. I said Hammond. I wasn't close at all. Hammond is a street over here somewhere. Alex Honnold. Yeah.
We can watch it on Netflix.
How tall was it? 101 stories. With only his hands. I just can't.
No rope.
Imagine walking 101 stories just with.
Imagine if you get tired. My brother. So just get back to my brother-in-law. We'll just loop this around back to the Miami Marathon that my brother-in-law ran this morning.
They said Boston earlier. That's what I was like.
No, Miami. So my sister-in-law was over Shabbat, and her kids are staying over. Like while she's there, whatever it is. So she said that. So we said, how's he? Is he ready for it? He said, yeah, his only concern is that at some point, it's possible you can just hit a wall. At some point, it's possible. You just hit a wall, you just can't.
The runners do that.
Yeah.
And then they have to mentally push through.
You have to mentally push through, but it's possible that you just get stuck. Like, it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't think he will. I think I don't know. So basically, my point is, imagine, God forbid, imagine you get stuck and you're 89 floors up. What does that even look like? It's just
somebody opened the window for him.
Oh, someone open a window and grab the guy. Exactly. Someone grab the guy. It's just like, it's a feat of not only physical prowess, you have to be mentally tough.
Different state of mind.
Mentally, like
mentally
so
tough, or it's two sides of it. You can either be mentally tough or completely disassociate,
just disconnected. But
because some people have.
But yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that could be it, and that could manifest itself as toughness. But even in that case, you have to be aware of every step. You can't be totally disassociated. You know what I mean? You just have to disassociate the fear, or the pain, or the I don't know. I'm not a climber. What do I know?
There was the Formula One driver Senna.
Yeah.
Who unfortunately passed away. He was known as the top Formula One driver. And he said there was a point where in one race where he just didn't even feel like he was in control, but it wasn't even like knowing the next step, like where you just, it's almost like euphoric.
Autopilot,
just there.
Like in the zone. It's just
such a zone where
they call it flow.
It's flow state. Like you have to build to that. I mean, there's a point where you have to build that up, right? But,
right.
Yeah. Where people are just so.
But our Formula One drivers, are they athletes?
Oh, they are beyond.
I'm kidding.
That's a big argument.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like what? I could also turn left.
Have you ever seen the video where you have like Lewis Hamilton, these football players, and the reaction time? They actually have to deal with more G-forces like than fighter pilots. Like,
it's crazy.
It's crazy actually how they train.
They lose like pounds when they drive, right?
Yeah.
Because they're sweating or whatever.
Yeah. Just imagine the amount of force. But they do this like test where they're dropping these tennis balls from the hands, and the Formula One driver, for the reaction time,
interesting.
A football
the reflexes are way.
It's crazy. Within millimeters, you're going 180 miles.
That's incredible. All right, what's coming up? Oh, we got some good stuff coming up. So number one, by the way, Monday, speaking of tomorrow,
what's for lunch?
Well, hold on. Here's my point.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Oh, tomorrow is ices.
We have to clarify.
Yes.
First of all, ICE, the border people. They should call it the national, whatever ICE stands for, because then it would be nice instead of ICE.
Oh, very good.
There we go.
That's good.
Wow. Trademark that.
Trademark that. What does ICE stand for?
ICE versus nice.
Let's go. Hold on. So tomorrow. So here's the thing. It depends on the conditions. I'll know by like 1 o'clock. I'll know like in about an hour what the status is with tomorrow, because we're still trying to figure out if people are going to come out. Like we'll be here, but the question is if people are going to come out from all around, because we usually have 50, 60 people. So we want to make sure that it's not going to be 10 people and it's all going to be like whatever. So
10 people, you can have it by my place. Just bring the lunch.
So we have the lunch. We have a plan for the lunch. Obviously, we have planned for it, and we'll see if we're going to pull the trigger on it. But I'll send out an email this afternoon. So
in-house made?
Pizza.
Oh, okay.
CBT pizza. Okay. Yeah. So I have everything for it, and we're going to make it tomorrow. If we do it, if not, we'll make it next week. That's one thing. So next is Tuesday night. We have regular stuff. Oh, we have Torah studies, but then there's a big Farbrengen for Yud Shvat, 10th day of Shvat, big Farbrengen Tuesday night. What time is it? What time is the Farbrengen? Farbrengen here, yes. Farbrengen is going to be.
What are you serving?
1 second. I think there's wings and other stuff that's being served, but I can't guarantee that. The Farbrengen is taking place, just for those that are interested, 8 o'clock.
Here?
Oh,
8 to 9.
8 to 9 is a class, insights into the Rebbe's Maimer discourse, mystical teachings, and then 9 p.m. will be the Farbrengen for men and women, Congregation Bet Tefillah, 5065 High Point Road, which means right here. It's probably in the social hall, I imagine, or in the Daily Shul, probably in the social hall. And that's taking place, again, this Tuesday, January 27th. Wednesday, we have our new JLI course, which is amazing, called Captivating Cases and Rabbinic Responsa, Shiloh to Tshuvot. That's happening Wednesday, day and evening. Thursday is as usual with the classes. Shabbat is as usual with the classes. And then, I just want to fast forward a little bit. We have a Tu B'Shvat Seder, a week from tonight.
Tu B'Shvat.
No, join us. All right, next Sunday night is Tu B'Shvat.
Well, we have boxing.
I'm not on the food committee, but I'm assuming they're going to have what they need. And it's basically a journey. Everyone knows the Seder, but this is 4 cups of wine and different tastings and different meditations corresponding to the 4 seasons and 4 actualizations of the soul. So it's a very beautiful process and experience. Next Sunday night at, I believe, 8 p.m. Then we also have on the calendar a bourbon tasting evening with the bourbon rabbi. This is Rabbi Chaim Litvin from Louisville, Kentucky. He was here. He's coming back.
Hold on, this was yesterday. You were talking about him last week.
Yeah, but he was in town this weekend. We were thinking about doing something Saturday night, but it was such a quick turnaround, and then the weather was bad, so we're not doing it right now. But he's going to come back. He anyway is going to be in Augusta for an event, so he's just going to drive over to Atlanta and do something.
He's the Rabbi of Louisville.
He's one of the rabbis in Louisville, but he also makes his own bourbon.
Oh, he does make his own
and he's
bourbon.
certified. So he's speaking about the kosher journey of bourbon and the general bourbon, and then he's going to lead a tasting journey. So about 6, 7, or 8 different bourbons. And you drink and you pair it and whatever it is. And I don't know exactly what it is. I've never done it, but it's supposed to be a really beautiful thing. So that is February 16th. Save the date. It's a Monday night. And we'll do it in a private home in the neighborhood. And then on the 23rd, we're doing an event in Toko, actually, a Chabad Toko, with a speaker, with a big speaker. Take a look for an email going out either Monday or Tuesday. That's going to be a big event, and everyone is encouraged to join. All right. So that's all the news that fit the print.
Those look very broad. No specifics on
a very big speaker and a very great event. What's vague about that? Oh, and it will take place. Did I say Chabad Toko? Let me make it more vague. It'll take place somewhere in the United States, somewhere in the U.S. That is the
I can tell you.
I just lost
doubt.
the whole lesson today. I'm like stuck on what is the subject. Let it go.
It's a doctor from Emory who's going to speak. He developed the drug or the. He developed the drugs that are used in pretty much every HIV vaccine that exists or treatment or whatever it is. So he's like
he's Emory. Is he at CDC?
Emory. I don't know the details. So I don't think he's at CDC. He's at Emory, and his name is Dr. Raymond Shanazi. He's going to be speaking about the future of health and eradication of disease. So that's kind of
That doesn't affect my soul. I don't care.
It's the body.
Hey,
Good
but
to see
you know what?
Oh, Dad, it worked out in here.
My body is shot.
Just need a little bit of a fur coat, but otherwise, by the way, just in case you know, just so you know, it's not like anyone's like intentionally not turning on the heat. There's an issue with heat in this building, and they're working on fixing it.
Oh, is
but
it
it's
really?
a trick.
I thought you were just
This is
being
what
cheap
like
with the
no,
rabbi.
my high school teachers would do just to make sure like the kids are.
Oh, that you don't fall asleep.
Yeah,
you
pay
can't fall asleep in
attention when
this.
you call.
You cannot fall asleep in this. No, but they're working on it. They're trying to fix it. Obviously, they have kids in here every day, so we really need to fix it. But it'll be fixed at some point.
Good class, Rabbi.
Pleasure. Good to see you. Good to see you, Odette. All right.
Nice to see
Good
you.
to see you guys. Toba,
You
Sandrine.
didn't say the one other thing
Hey,
that's coming
good
up.
to see you.
You forgot to mention the other thing coming up.
What's coming up?
March 8th.
March 8th. What's March 8th?
I can't sleep.
Oh, the
March 8th.
Israeli trip. The
Yeah.
Israel trip. Good.
It's really what?
They're doing an Israel trip.
A trip to Israel, volunteer trip.
No, just JLI's Land and Spirit. Yeah, we have like 8 people going. It's very special. Hey, Sandrine.
Thank you. How are the roads?
Well, 8 out of how many?
Roads are okay. I just couldn't I was delayed like 15 minutes. My car was, my windshield was all icy. And I didn't have a scraper. So I didn't bring one from...
You don't have a garage?
Well, Leia's car is in the garage. Mine is outside.
Oh.
I didn't want to take her car.
Nice of you.
Yes. You know. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Shavuot.